Norway had an election on Monday. Today is Wednesday when I'm filming this, but probably Friday when you see it. However, I don't know the results yet. I haven't heard anything about the results. I haven't asked anyone who won or what the parliamentary seats are. I don't know anything. So we're gonna watch TLDR News EU's video on it. It's called Norway's Election Results Explained. I've watched a video by them before and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very informative, very easy to follow. So hopefully this one is the same way. Let's find out about this election together. I have no political affiliation also. I did a video a while back on the difference between Norway's election system and the US's election system. And I, read and researched some of the political parties, so I know kind of what their beliefs are going into this. However, like I said, I don't know who won yet. So let's just dive in and find out.
On Monday, Norway held its 2025 election, which polling experts had described beforehand as perhaps the most exciting parliamentary election since 1945.
Wow.
In the end, the incumbent centre-left Labour Party finished in first place, winning 28% of the vote and securing a second four-year term. It was an extremely close race between Norway's left-wing and right-wing political blocs overall, though, with Norway's left-wing political bloc, dominated by Labour, achieving 87 out of 169 seats, just 2 above the 85 needed for a parliamentary majority. Meanwhile, the right-wing bloc, comprising the populist right-wing Progress Party and the Conservatives, achieved 82 seats, with the Progress Party more than doubling its result from 2021.
Wow.
So, in this video,
Didn't they say that they thought it was going to be a switch? They thought it was going to lean more right-wing this time. Interesting that it didn't. I wonder why. Maybe that's what he's going to explain.
Explain Norway's 2025 election results, the recent political background, and what challenges the country's next government might face. Let's start by recapping the political background. At the previous 2021 election, the centre-left Labour Party finished first with a 26.3% vote share, followed by the centre-right Conservative Party with 20.5%. In third was the agrarian Eurosceptic Centre Party with 13.6% of the vote. In fourth was the right-wing populist Progress Party with 11.7%, and in fifth was the left-wing Eurosceptic Socialist Left Party with 7.6%. After their victory, Labour, led by Jonas...
I'm still so, not necessarily baffled, but interested in the fact that there's so many parties here and you have so much representation depending on what you believe. And I just think it's so much better than the US system of only having 2 parties, because it is just such a thick divide, right? That is just you are either this or you are this. And it just creates this very, very thick line in your population. So this is so smart to me, to have so many different parties that you can be represented by.
Sture formed a minority coalition government with the Centre Party, which soon became plagued by infighting, resignations, and conflict of interest scandals, from plagiarism to insider trading.
What?
This contributed to a drop.
I didn't know that.
With the Centre
Wait,
Party,
I want to read those headlines.
Which soon became plagued by infighting, resignations, and conflict of interest scandals, from
I knew that they dropped out, and it was just the Arbeiderpartiet was just them at the end, but I didn't know why. Norway's health minister resigns after plagiarism accusation and latest scandal to rock the cabinet. Whoa. She plagiarized part of her master's thesis. Yikes. Another minister lands in trouble. Foreign Minister Anniken Huitfeldt of the Labour Party has become the latest member of the Norwegian government to land in serious trouble over potential conflicts of interest. She claims she didn't know that her husband had invested in several Norwegian companies, including weapons producer Kongsberg Gruppen, while she's been in office over the past 2 years. I feel like I heard something about that, but I don't really know enough to speak on it at all. Interesting. I didn't know there were scandals that made them separate.
Plagiarism to insider trading. This contributed to a drop in Labour's poll rating, from 27% at the 2021 election to around 16% in January 2024, when the right-wing populist Progress Party really began to surge. Further cracks appeared in the Labour Centre coalition in late 2024 over the issue of energy. For context, Norway is one of the world's largest exporters of crude oil and natural gas, and is also a big producer of hydropower. Around 90% of Norway's total electricity comes from hydropower, and almost half of Europe's total reservoir capacity is in Norway. Norway exports hydropower to the EU via electricity interconnectors to Denmark, the UK and Germany. And in the past few years, this has increased significantly, leading to rising concerns that Norway's electricity exports to the EU may be driving up the country's domestic energy prices. This is why, in January, the Eurosceptic Centre Party, which has long opposed Norwegian membership of the EU and the adoption of its energy market rules, left Sturre's government. Sturre was pushing for Norway to accept the EU's energy directive to generally increase Norway's alignment with Europe, but the Centre Party opposed this and quit the coalition, leaving a pure Labour cabinet. But this apparently ended up helping Labour, and after Sturre's appointment of the popular former Norwegian Prime Minister and NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg as finance minister in February, Labour's polling immediately jumped up by as many as 10 percentage points, to a 6-year high of nearly 30%. Meanwhile, the right-wing populist Progress Party was holding steady at around 20%, having overtaken the Conservatives at the end of 2024. The party appeared to be benefiting from growing fatigue with both of Norway's mainstream parties, Labour and the Conservatives, but also from Norway's increased oil and gas revenues, since Norway overtook Russia as Europe's biggest supplier of natural gas in 2022.
Wow.
This seemed to work in the Progress Party's favour, as the party has long championed oil.
This is what I feel like I've heard a lot about, is that there was the, kind of like in the US, where you got this major shift in politics because of fatigue or whatever their excuse is, I don't know. But I heard kind of the same thing was happening here, that they were, the Norwegian people wanted a big change. They wanted something completely different. So it's interesting that that didn't happen, that they're still with the same people.
And gas exploration. Simultaneously, though, it caused problems for the left-leaning parties, which disagree over what to do with Norway's immense oil and gas reserves. This dilemma isn't going away anytime soon either. Norwegian exports of natural gas remain near record highs, and are forecast to stay at similar levels until 2027. Anyway, that brings us to the 2025 election results. Labour came first with 53 seats, closely followed by the Progress Party on 48 seats. In third were the Conservatives with 24 seats, a notable drop from 2021. Next, the Centre Party, Socialist Left Party and the Reds each won 9, while the Greens and Christian Democratic Party each won 7 and the Liberals won 3. There was also a clear urban-rural divide, but unlike in other European countries, Norway's urban areas showed stronger support for right-wing parties, while rural areas showed stronger support for left-wing parties. We can map this fairly accurately onto median income, with wealthier urban areas voting more for the right and poorer rural areas voting more for the left. This reflects how big of an issue Norway's wealth tax was in this election. For context, the previous Labour Centre coalition introduced changes to Norway's long-standing wealth tax, which have generated an extra 10 billion kroner of government revenue annually, but have also reportedly led to record departures of investors and the super-rich to low-tax countries like Switzerland.
Yeah, I heard about that.
During the campaign, the populist Progress Party promised to scrap the tax, arguing that Norway needs to be an attractive country for wealth creation, while the more moderate Conservatives pledged to reduce it. Labour Finance Minister Stoltenberg, meanwhile, pledged a cross-party review of all Norwegian taxes, including wealth, after the election. Anyway, wealth tax aside, there are two main takeaways from these results. The first is that the Labour government's job has become even more difficult, as the party now needs the support of 4 smaller parties in order to reach a parliamentary majority. Norway's multi-party political system is generally divided into 2 main blocs, with parties belonging to either the left-wing red or right-wing blue bloc. Given that the combined number of seats won by the red bloc is 87, with 85 required for a majority, Labour would need to rely on all of the Centre Party, Socialist Left Party, the Reds and the Greens for a parliamentary majority. However, Norway often has minority coalition governments, so Labour can choose to form a coalition with 1 or 2 other red bloc parties, or even govern alone. Sturre will likely continue as Prime Minister.
Okay, so I don't really get that. How do they form this coalition? I thought it happened at election time. But I guess it happens after election. Can someone please explain that in the comments? Because I was wondering if there was any coalition at all, or if it was just Arbeiderpartiet that was going to govern. But it's interesting because I thought you had to do that at time of election, but I guess not. You can do it after or whenever. I don't know. Someone please explain that to me.
With a majority of respondents to a poll last week preferring him as their candidate. But he'll have to manage disagreements among the red bloc parties over issues like taxation, social welfare and climate policy. The second main takeaway is that the Conservative Party has been usurped by the Progress Party as the dominant party of the right of Norwegian politics. The Progress Party, which campaigned on the slogan "Your money, your freedom," promised to slash taxes and invest more of Norway's $1.8 trillion sovereign wealth fund in infrastructure, as well as arguing for zero net immigration from, quote, high-risk countries, prioritising Christian refugees and setting up asylum processing centres in third countries like Rwanda. The party achieved its best ever results, reflecting the broader trend of right-wing populist parties doing well across Europe. Ultimately, Norway's new government will face several challenges, as the left bloc has a very narrow majority and faces a stronger, bolder opposition in the Progress Party. The government will likely be scrutinised over the use and investment of Norway's sovereign wealth fund, which divested from Israeli weapons firms this summer following...
Norway Wealth Fund divests from several Israeli companies due to Gaza war. Yeah, good.
Outcry, and also over Norway's taxation system. Stoltenberg's proposed review of Norwegian taxes, including on wealth, will be something many European governments that are now considering their own wealth tax will be watching closely. It's no secret that problem solving is always found at the heart of politics, whether that's through making important decisions or just understanding how the world works. Here at TLDR, we want to stay on top of our problem solving too.
Interesting. Okay, so Arbeiderpartiet won again. Very interesting. Good to know. Let me know how the coalition thing works and if you think that there will be any coalitions formed by the end of this. And I would love to know your opinion on the election in general. I know it's kind of a less polarizing topic here in Norway, so you have more, it's more okay to speak about your own political opinions. So let me know. Let me know if you're comfortable with that. Let me know down in the comments how you feel about this election and the results and everything. I would genuinely love to know Norwegian citizens' outlook on their country. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, all of those really nice things that help you support my channel. And hopefully I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.